So if you use templates in Final Cut Pro, like the FCP titles collection, and let's say, for example, we use number 5 quite a lot, but let's say you're using it in your edits, but you always need the text to be a particular font or this color to be something in particular. We can actually set our defaults quite easily. If we right click and we go open in Motion, you need to have Motion installed for this. And then all we need to do, obviously I realize Motion can be quite daunting for most Final Cut Pro, or some Final Cut Pro users anyway, but all we need to do is just go into Inspector, and what you'll find straight away is the same published parameters that we would have found for this title in Final Cut Pro. So let's say we've got a different color here for the box. Let's say it's like purple, something like that. And let's say that this is actually the name of a particular segment that we often have. So I'm just going to click Command A to select all, hit backspace, and then let's call it Market Friction. And then that's going to be a different font as well. Cool. And then I'll just shift this up and then move the anchor point. Okay, cool. So that's the default that we want to set for this title. So let's just go File, Save inside of Motion. And then I'm going to switch back to Final Cut Pro. So now back in Final Cut Pro in the titles, if I just select FCP icons and then go back to FCP titles collection, you'll see number 5's default has changed. Well, you can't see it there, but if I drag it in, what you'll see now is that it's changed, and I don't actually have to change the font every time to my default font, and my box color is always going to be purple. So this lends itself to lower thirds. Let's say that you have a default lower third that you want to make, or you've got like 3 various lower thirds that you use quite a lot. Let's say that this is the lower third that you use for your brand, but we have 3 people that are always interviewed. So let's go and edit this in Motion, or open in Motion I should say. And in the inspector, what we're going to do is change the color, because that's not our brand color. Our brand color is blue, and this color can also be blue. So I'll just click and drag that down to the bottom in the inspector here. And then this name is going to be Paul Henderson. And he's going to be one of the lower thirds that we use quite a lot of. So what I can do here is actually go File, Save As, and we are in FCP titles collection, and we are in the theme of lower thirds. So what I'm going to do is call this 252 Paul Henderson. Then I can select Paul's name and then change that to Jane de Villiers, and then I'll save that as out as another one. So 252 Jane de Villiers. And then change this to FCP titles collection, and then lower thirds is correct there, so I'll say publish. And then one final one, select Jane's name again, backspace that, and call it Brayton Hendricks. And then I'll just also boost up my line here. Alright, cool. I'm going to save that as 252 Brayton Hendricks. Change this again to the titles collection. Lower thirds, cool, publish. So now if I go into Final Cut Pro, I'll just go back into FCP titles collection, then go back into the lower thirds category. And here I've got my 3 new variations. So I always use Brayton's name, so he can come up, and now I don't actually have to change his text here and also change the line color. And then we've also got Paul, and then we've got Jane. So we can use these in multiple different projects over time. And then lastly, let's say that you're using a template for a logo sting, but it asks you for your logo every time. So for example, logo 1, let me right click here and say open in Motion. Okay, so making sure that logo 1 is selected, I'm going to go into project, and then first what I want to do is just to turn off the sample logo. So I'm going to go into this category here, logo, and change that to drop zone. Then I need to find where the drop zone is. So what I'm going to do is click here and reveal the original parameter. And what that's going to do is just show me in the folder structure where that logo is. So this is where we can just quickly put our logo in, so we don't have to enter it into Final Cut Pro every time, or rather upload it into Final Cut Pro. So I'm just going to go and select my logo over here. and then drag it into Final Cut Pro. So there's my logo. I'm actually going to turn off the drop zone. We won't need that anymore. And then scale this one down. And then just make sure it's also dragged all the way to the start. Otherwise, it won't appear until later on. So there's my logo. That's cool. But while I'm here, let's also just change a couple of settings. Let's say that the background color is green. Let's say that the text is going to be Rice Traders again, because we just like the name so much. And also the color of that text is a bit too white against that. So let's just make that darker. Cool. All right, cool. So let's go File, Save. I'm just going to say copy because you want your logo to be loaded into the folder structure. Then go back into Final Cut Pro. Then I'll just go back into FCP icons and then to FCP titles collection. I'm going to actually just find the logos thing. There it is over here. Just click and drag that, and every time you're going to have your logos thing with your logo, so you don't have to use the drop zones every time you want to load it in there. All right, guys, hope this has helped. Let us know if it has in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next one.